Hello, welcome back to our little late night chat session. So the last video I filmed like this, which was my 7 lessons I learned from making $1 million and losing it all, my sister was like, I like the video. The vibe was very much like, late night. I was like, dang, I should probably have a little glass of wine or like some snacks or something like that, and we just like chilling and vibing later in the evening, and I'm just like sharing like wisdom and tips and advice that I've learned. I was like, I really like that vibe, so I think we're gonna keep this up. I think we're gonna keep doing this. This is gonna be like a series on my channel. So today we're gonna be talking about 25 lessons I have learned by 25. I know a lot of people don't even know I'm 25. I had to moisturize my lips. Lesson number 1, moisturize your lips. I'm walking around here with dry lips. A lot of people don't know this, but I am, getting up there in age, as far as the young folks are concerned. I was at work the other day and we were talking about birthdays and stuff like that. And they were like, wait, Kobe, how old are you? I was like, 25. They're like, so you were born in the 1900s? Don't do me like that. I was born in 1998, okay? But yeah, guys, 25 years here. Wow. One thing for sure, I'm extremely grateful to have made it this far, but that journey has come with so many trials and tribulations and challenges that try to take me out, and like lessons that came along with that. And so I just thought this video was a really cool idea to just share like 25 things that I have learned throughout my lifetime. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. All right, so my first lesson, and none of these are in any order of any kind: handle everything and everyone with integrity and give everything that you're involved with your all. And the reason why I say that is you never know who's going to become who. You never know who's going to be who later on in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. You don't know who somebody will become or grow into. They could be somebody completely different today than they will be in 5 years. You just never know who's going to be who. And you never know what opportunities might come from something that you're involved with right now that you maybe don't even want to be involved with. You never know who might have an opportunity that you have access to, but you're not proving as somebody that they would want to share that opportunity with because you're not giving your all in whatever it is you're involved with. And for me personally, this is a big one for me dealing with work. You guys who watch my YouTube videos are going to know now this information, but right now I work at Starbucks and I'm a barista. I did not expect to be here for a long time. When I went through the whole situation with my old business and I was living off my savings for a little while, and then as my savings started to dwindle, I was like, okay, I need to figure something out, because in that season of my life, I was just around the wrong people and started to pick up a lot of the like habits and tendencies and things of these people that I was spending so much time with, because you become like the people you spend time with. And so instead of like me, like, getting back on top of it, I was living on my savings and I had saved up a lot of money. But, after a couple of months, it's like, all right, this is starting to run out. And if I'm not doing anything to bring in more income, it's going to run out eventually. And so I was like, all right, I just need to find a job or something to start bringing money in. So I got a job at Starbucks, and which was like one of the best things to ever happen to me in my adult years. But I would have never known that. I would have never expected that. You know what I'm saying? But I got a job at Starbucks, started working there. And I was just thinking like, all right, this is just going to hold me over until I get the next thing started. I had no idea. It's about to be 2 years I've been at Starbucks in June. I would have never expected to be here this long. And so if I would have came to this job with the mindset of, oh, I'm not going to be here for a long time, so I don't really care. I'm just going to do the bare minimum so I don't get fired. Sure, I'd probably still have a job because I'm doing what I need to do to not get fired. But the relationships that I've been able to build at my job, because I come to my work and do my job and do it very well, and I bring my energy and I'm myself, I've built some lifelong relationships at this job. Like the people that I worked with or have worked with, they've gone and moved and whatever. If I was down so bad and I needed something, I know I could call any one of them and they would do whatever they possibly could to be there for me, and vice versa. Like, I have gained a family working here. You know what I'm saying? An additional family, a whole new tribe in my life that I could see being there for the rest of my life. All the big milestones, I see all these people that I work with there. But if I would have came here with the attitude of I don't care, I don't know, maybe I would have made some friends and made some connections, but maybe I would have just kept to myself because I don't care. You see? And then now, fast forward, I was all right, I'm gonna try to get the next thing going, and then I'm just gonna work this job until I get the next thing going. That was my mindset originally when I went into working at Starbucks. Now, just this week, on Tuesday, literally a couple of days ago, I just so happened to be at work on the right day at the right time and made a really good impression with some really important people who work for Starbucks. And guess what? Your boy might be moving to Seattle with a 6-figure full-time position. I would have never expected this. But because I came to work and I had integrity with this workplace, I said they hired me to come here and do this job, and I'm going to do this job the best I can do it because I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I'm going to have integrity. I'm not going to come in here and give bare minimum. I'm going to give this thing my all. I know I don't plan on being here for a long time, but that's the thing. You just never know. Because I thought, oh, I'm going to hurry up and get the next thing going. What I found out, me rushing to get the next thing going wasn't getting the next thing going. I'm creating it from the wrong intention. I'm creating this thing from the wrong place. I couldn't be creative the way I used to be. Because before I was creative because I was actually creating. I was creating from this place of full creativity. And if it took me 3 weeks to pull off a video, I'm going to spend the 3 weeks because the end result is so good and I'm so proud of it. When I'm coming from survival mode, if I need to hurry up and get the next thing going, I'm not giving my art the time it needs to develop. I'm not taking the time I need to take to make this video the best it could be, to make this thing the best it could be, to really plan out, to write a script, right? To plan out the visuals, right? To plan out the wardrobe, right? To really develop this idea in my brain to bring it to life. I'm not taking the time necessary. I'm trying to hurry up and get the next thing out because I need this to hurry up and work. And it's not working. And so, again, I did not expect this job to potentially be a career, but it's become so much more than what I originally expected it to be. And I'm so grateful that I came into it. Like, even though I don't plan to be here for a long time, I'm still going to give this my best. I'm still going to come to this job and do my best because you never know who's going to become who. My boss big up to me so much in that meeting. And I was just like so thankful for that. But she would not have done that if I was coming to work given the bare minimum because I wasn't expecting to be here. She wouldn't have done that. You never know. You just never know. There's no way I could have planned on that day happening the way it did. Another situation. I've had an instance in a business and I've had an instance in a relationship where people thought I was a certain way, or maybe when they met me, I was a certain way. But over time, you learn, you grow. Some people do. I do for sure, especially in business. People used to be able to get over and get away with a lot of things with me because I was naive. I'm no longer naive. And these people, get ready. These people are about to enter their downfall. Why? Because I'm not that naive little kid that I was before. And maybe you thought that was how I was going to be for the next 5 years or 10 years or however, but you never know who somebody's going to become. So if you handle everybody with integrity and you do the right thing, you'll be fine. But because you didn't, get ready. My next tip, don't count on money you don't have. It applies for business and it applies for your personal life. If you don't have the money yet, you cannot count on it. Don't start planning on it. Don't, I'm going to do this with this. I'll buy this because I'm about to get paid. If you don't have the money yet, do not count on it because anything can happen. What if that money don't come when it's supposed to? Now you don't got the money that you need for this, or you don't got the money that you need for that, or you overspent and now your check didn't come out the way you thought it was going to come out, or this person's late to paying you. And so now you in financial turmoil because you was counting on money that you didn't yet have. I did this a lot a couple years ago, 2 years ago, even last year towards the beginning of the year. I'm going to get paid from this, so it'll be fine. And then they canceled. I done made decisions banking on this money coming in and now it's not here. And so that is a huge lesson that I learned, and that, child, I do not do it again. I just had a conversation with somebody about a month ago. I was like, honestly, I'm not counting on no money I don't have, so I don't know yet. I will let you know. If it is not in your bank account, you do not have it. Do not spend it. Okay, this is another really, really big thing. Save your money. My mom used to always say this, but I think because she never gave any context when it came to say, she'd be like, save just cuz. As a kid, you don't understand the just cuzes. The a million just cuzes that can happen. They don't exist in your reality because you don't have no bills. You don't have no responsibilities. You don't get it. You don't understand it. But so I'm about to add some context to save your money. One thing that really helped me is this guy named Leo Skepi. I love his videos. And there was a video where he was talking about finances. He was talking about how savings builds you security. It buys you security. Knowing that you have 6 months of rent in your bank account over there, you're able to take a risk. You're able to, if I hate my job, if I hate this job, you're not trapped because I need this job to pay my bills. I can leave here and I got 6 months to go find something else. If you're in a relationship and you're financially binded together or whatever, you don't have to be stuck and sit miserable in this relationship because you need to support your finances. Okay, but I'm done. I'm moving on. You got 6 whole months to figure out what you're going to do next. And the more, the better. My goal is to have 2 years of expenses saved up. And God forbid I ever need 2 years to figure something out. But I know that having 2 years of my expenses in my savings account, I'm going to be free to think clearly, be creative, create what I need to create, give it my all, really take it there. I don't have to shortchange or shortcut or quick path to something that I'm creating because I got 2 whole years. 2 whole years. Obviously, you still move with a sense of urgency, but knowing that I'm straight. Financially, I'm straight. If anything happens, if anything goes down, I'm straight. It gives you freedom. And I'm a Sagittarius. Freedom is my favorite word. Okay? Let me tell you something. I'm not motivated by money. I don't need to have the most money in the world. I don't need to be the richest person in the world. But freedom, the ability for me to do what I want to do when I want to do it because I can financially support it, that would drive me. That would drive me for sure. Absolutely. Just make it a habit of saving regularly. For me, what I do is I do the 100 envelope challenge. Basically, it's 100 envelopes numbered 1 to 100. Every single time I get paid, I take one out, or I take two out, and I fill them up, and I just put them away. Once that whole thing is filled, you have $5,000. One time I doubled it, and I had $11,000 because I would round up the numbers. And then from there, you take that money after it's fully completed, and you figure out what you're gonna do with it. What I would recommend, if you don't have one, put it into your emergency fund and keep doing it until you got 3 months of expenses saved up, then 6 months of expenses saved up. If you want to go 9 months of expenses saved up, a year and a half, however long you want to do that, you can do that. Or you can even split up. Say, all right, if I finish this challenge and I got $5,000 saved up, I'm gonna put half towards savings and I'm gonna put half towards whatever you want to do. Building some type of habit of saving, like for me, every single time I get paid, every single time I get some money, I'm doing my little savings challenge. I am consistently putting money away. This is buying me freedom. This is buying me security. When it comes to a point where I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go all in on my business, or I think I want to go all in on social media, or I think I want to whatever. I feel secure in that decision because I have a financial fortress backing me up. I have my own damn safety net. I'm my own banker. I just realized my camera just overheated and I'm talking a lot. So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. My next tip, you tell your money what to do. Don't let your money tell you what to do. And this is simply by budgeting. Whenever you get paid, before you touch your money, write out on paper, what is this money going for? This money is going for this. This money is going for that. This money is going for this. Because you work hard and you earn your money so that your money can do things for you. Otherwise, why would you go be making money? And so you just need to be intentional with what is this doing for you. This is where you're trading your time or your mind or however you earn for, right? And so you want it to like go towards things that are actually going to help you. Write it down, plan it out. It helps a lot with you being the one in control, because otherwise you're just going off of your feelings or emotions in the moment. And next thing you know, you get to the end of the month and there's not enough money left, and now you're just like, well, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. Where if you were the one telling your money what to do, you could do those things if you just plan properly for them. All right, my next one is, especially for younger people, zoom out. You have time. You have time. There's a saying that it's like people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And like literally that is so true. I feel like a lot of times, especially when we're younger, we kind of feel like we need to have it all together and all figured out, and we need to know exactly where we're going and what we're doing and how we're going to do it and everything like that. And it's just like, take me, I'm 25. Even if I spent 10 years just trying stuff, I didn't set my sights on something specific, I didn't know exactly what, I just tried something. I'm only 35. You still have time. Like, I'm sure you know a 35-year-old. They're not in a wheelchair, sickly, unable to do anything. You still have time. You got time. Even my dad, 54, very mobile, about to start a new business. You have time. You do not have to have it all figured out. And something that really helped me like sort of click out of this mindset was I was reading this book called The Way of the Superior Man. And the guy was talking about how, okay, if you're here on this earth to pursue a purpose, everybody has a purpose here or several. If the reason why you are here alive is to pursue this purpose, then the pursuit lasts you your lifetime. You're here for the pursuit. If you achieved everything you ever want to achieve tomorrow, what would be the point of you being here? You're done. You did it all. And so like thinking about it like that, it was just like, yeah, there's no rush at all to get where I'm trying to go. I know where I want to go. I know I want to be eventually. It's no rush to get there because this is what you have your lifetime for. Even if I said, all right, when I'm 60, I want to chill. You still have so much time until you get there. And I feel like me being able to zoom out and be like, all right, I got time. I don't have to do everything in 1 year or 2 years. Let's just plan out my goals over the next 10 years. Now, all of a sudden, when you zoom out, when you take these big dreams that you have and sort of zoom out and be like, all right, this is my 10-year plan to achieve this. There's another quote that goes, plans are useless, but planning is everything, because you can't take steps toward a destination, toward a direction without the plan. It's never going to go exactly the way you planned it. But if you didn't plan, you don't know what the next step is. You don't even move. You're stuck. You're standing still. Being able to take this big dream that you have and be like, all right, I'm going to do this by the time I'm 35. If I'm 25 now, I'm going to do this by the time I'm 35. It makes it feel so much less daunting and so much more realistic that you're like, all right, every day I just got to do this. Or, all right, this year I'm just going to focus on this. And it becomes more realistic. And now you end up making more progress on your goal than if you was trying to do it all in one year and then end up doing nothing because you're overwhelmed, or this is not possible, or you're waiting on some miracle to happen. Zoom out. You have time. My next tip, think of your life in seasons. It's gonna change. Winter is not all year long, and neither is summer. And I just feel like every single year is not gonna be the same. Every single year is not gonna be one where just great thing after great thing after great thing happens. Every single year is not just gonna be bad thing after bad thing after bad thing happens. All of these things have a purpose in your life. The good things and the bad things. They're gonna come. And I feel like if you're able to embrace the fact that this too is gonna pass, this is temporary, it helps you endure those storms, because the storms and the bad things and the rough situations that take place in your life are here to teach you something. When was the last time you learned something when everything was going great? When I learned the most was when I had to make it through the hardest things that I've had to endure in this life. And now I'm able to look back at those things so proud that I made it through, so grateful for the wisdom that's been imparted on me for making it through those things, and being able to have the self-awareness to assess my part I played in these things happening. For example, being in a bad relationship, realizing I stayed too long. I won't do it again. If that never happened, I would do it. And if I didn't have the self-awareness to reflect, I might do it again. There's so many things that come from the hardships in our life. And if you just understand that this is here for a reason and it's gonna pass, it makes it so much easier. It gives you so much peace. This is my next tip. Life is a journey, and you should see it as such. Think about a movie, your favorite movie. If the main character was just always good, or was just there was nothing going on, it wouldn't be a good movie. Similar thing goes for life. It's gonna be up, it's gonna be down, it's gonna be great times, it's gonna be rough times. But I feel like enduring all of it, it creates this experience of your life. And we all have one. We all have our experience. We all have different experiences. That is where some of the beauty in human connection lies. You're interacting with these people who have a whole different experience of life. They look at life through a different lens than you. They see things differently than you. And you're able to sort of explore that in another person. We're able to like find commonalities and find differences and challenge the way you think, or challenge the way I think, or help me understand something because I didn't understand it the way I grew up or the environment that I was in, but you were able to bring this different perspective from a different environment that completely changed my mind. Now I see this whole situation differently. This is life. And I just think that looking at it through like this journey, this story, this plot, embrace the journey. My friend Cortland told me this one day. Shout out to you, Cortland. And it really stuck with me. And he was like, embrace wherever you're at in your journey. Don't focus so hard on getting out of where you are right now, because you're there for a reason. When I was going through the heights, business successful, and everything looks amazing for me, it was so go, 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 go on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. We got to double it this month. We got to double it this month. We got to double it this month, just because of who I chose to do business with. Unfortunately, it was always the next thing. And honestly, guys, like, I can't say I remember much from that time in my life. You would think, wow, he's having all this success. I'm so happy for him. This must be so amazing. I don't really remember much of it at all. I remember the traumatic things from it. But a lot of the good moments, it's like they just kind of came and went. And this is why I'm so big on celebrating everything. Every milestone, celebrate. Even if it's just having a glass of wine and reflecting on how far you've come. Celebrate everything. The big stuff and the little stuff, because it is so important to remain present in these moments that you're in, because certain moments, it's like once upon a time you prayed for this moment and now you're here, but it doesn't mean anything to you because you're already over there. Come back here real quick. And this goes for the positive experiences and the negative experiences. I recently saw this video from Iman Gadzhi where he talked about how he wished in the lows of his life, he would have sat in them more and felt the full extent of these lows in his life, because he's like, I'm all successful now, but sometimes I wish I could just like reminisce on how far I really came and where I came from and what that was like. But I was so laser focused on getting out of where I was that I don't really remember it much. And it's like, that's sad, because how many times can you think back on an experience that's like, it was shit going through it, but now, like, you know, you can look back at it and like laugh at it, or like, remember when I was like blank, 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 man. And now look at us, like, you know, and it's kind of sad not being able to reflect on those times from even your low points in life. I know I wish I had that for some of my high points. I feel like for my low points, mental health has always been a very big topic in my house. Shout out to my sister. And so I think in the lows, you know, we really do take the time to explore the depths of those lows and to, you know, dig out the lessons from them and the root causes from them, and to really heal and process from these lows. And so I feel like for me, a lot of my low points, I have really sat in them and explored the depths of them, and I don't really rush my healing. I'm very intentional with my healing, and I definitely have a sense of urgency with it, but it's like I'm not rushing myself out of this, because what I don't want to do is run away from this feeling and just shove it down. And now I have triggers, and now I have trauma, and now I have shit that follows me for the rest of my life, and I'm triggered when I hear this, or I'm triggered when I see that. I don't want none of that ever, because the people that are going to deal with me, the people that I'm interacting with and engaging with, and my friends and my family and my coworkers and whoever deals with me in the future, doesn't deserve to deal with the trauma of what happened to me in the past. They didn't cause it to me, and they don't deserve to deal with that version of me. So I'm going to deal with that version of me today, so that I don't pass this on to anybody, or nobody else is a target of what somebody else did to me. They don't deserve that. And you know who else doesn't deserve that? My future kids. They don't deserve a father who is projecting the things that happen to them from somebody else. They didn't do it to you, and you chose to bring them here. It's your responsibility to be the best you can for them. And so that's always been a big thing for me. I'm going to deal with whatever is here and is happening, because nobody else deserves that. They didn't do it to me. So that's always been a really, really big thing for me. But I think the ups and the high moments and the big things that happen, I don't really remember much from them, because it was always the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Some people are opposite, you know, but whatever it is, embrace all of the parts of your journey, because this is a journey. It just creates a much better, more memorable experience. It helps you extract all that you can out of these moments that you have in your life, good or bad. All right, this is my next lesson. Your phone is a weapon against your attention. These companies make billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they spend billions of dollars to figure out how can they get more of your attention. It's crazy to think about the fact that we don't even realize we are addicted to these things. First thing you do when you wake up, check your phone. You can't go nowhere without your phone. Just a random moment, you're bored, you pick up your phone, go on Instagram. Why? What was the purpose of you just going on Instagram right now? To be entertained. Because now it's gotten to the point where a lot of us can't even spend 1 second of boredom before the phones. And I know a lot of people, especially younger people, don't remember times like this. But I remember the very early stage of my life where sometimes you were just bored and you got creative. I know me, I would come up with ideas. That was my whole thing. Like, I would live in this whole world in my head, and it would be so fun, and I was creating. Or we'd go outside and play with our friends. Or I remember a few times we'd be at my grandma's house and it'd be so boring. And so we would take newspapers, create a bat, create a baseball, make bases down in the basement, and we were playing baseball with newspaper. Like, those memories are just so precious. And I think, like, you're so present in those moments, because where else are you going? You're living in your moment. You're living in your reality. It makes life a lot more peaceful. Our brains are like, so human brains take generations to adapt. And the technology is just going too fast for our human brains. And this is why so many of us are depressed. You can't focus. Anything that's not instant gratification is extremely hard. And so it's like, you really have to take action against this device, so that once again, just like with your money, you're using your device, not your device is using you. Because right now, your device is a product from Apple, from Samsung. Your device is a product, and it's using you to make them money. When you think about it that way, it's like, oh, wow. But you bought this phone to help you. So you be the user of this phone. You be in control, not it being in control of you. Because anytime you feel bored for 2 seconds, you're on Instagram 2 seconds later. I've done a couple of things to just reduce my screen time. One, I booked out my schedule. I created a full schedule for myself. And when I'm busy, child, I do not be thinking about the phone. I be losing it sometimes now. But I think the other thing too that is extremely helpful was I put my phone in grayscale, and so everything's like black and white, and it just makes it real boring, and like you don't really care to like be on there a lot. I can't say I feel so much more present. I'm able to focus more. I'm reading a lot more now. It just feels great. It definitely takes a toll on your mental health. I encourage you to just try it for 1 week. Don't go on your phone unless you are making a phone call, sending a text, sending an email, or something like intentional. Don't just get on it just because. Like, it has to be, you have to have a reason before you go to unlock your phone. I promise you it's going to feel a lot different, and you're going to feel a lot different. My next tip is to be a person of your word. I can't stand somebody who doesn't even take their own word seriously. Can't stand it. Pet peeve of mine. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't do it, say that. If you're not sure if you can do it, say that. If you said you can do it and now you found out that you can't do it, say that. Who would have thought it was so simple? It definitely builds trust when you're a person of your word and when somebody can depend on your word. If this person said they were going to do something, I know they're going to do it. And if they told me they can't, I respect them telling me they can, as opposed to them telling me they could and then not following through, and now they let me down. I also feel like people respect you more. And the other thing too, while I'm on it, it's okay to disagree with somebody. You are two different people from two different backgrounds, grew up with two different lifestyles, exposed to completely different things in your lifetime, and these all impact how you perceive the world. You're not going to see it the same as everybody because you're not the same person. It's okay if you don't agree with what somebody else agrees with. It's totally fine. Doesn't mean you're beefing. Doesn't mean you have to hate each other. Doesn't mean you don't have to not like each other. You simply don't agree. That's it. It does not have to go deeper than that. All right, my next tip is learn to think for yourself and become a free thinker. I think too many times, and I feel like partially it's not any individual's fault. You kind of have to have an interest or just an innate curiosity in thinking for yourself, challenging common beliefs, and having a mind for yourself. But a lot of people are conditioned to think like everybody else, and I don't know, it just frees you from the expectations of society, from the world, from everybody else that's not you. When you can think for yourself, when you can make a decision for yourself, I just think it's so important. I can't imagine a life where I'm living for everybody else, and if not for anybody else directly, for society and what they want for me. And I think the way you do this, I've always been a super curious person. And so I think this is a very much so a Sagittarius thing. I always want to get down to the truth of like, what is it really though? Like, what is it really? I remember I used to ask so many questions. My mom was just telling me a story about this when we were talking about our childhood and growing up and stuff like that. And she was talking about Christmas and how we found out. And my mom was like, I was always the kid asking a million questions, and it made it really hard to keep it going because every year I have more and more questions. But it is because I know that everybody else, is thinking the same thing. And me too. I want to believe the same thing. But at the same time, I just need to know for sure, because how this, how that, why? I was definitely that kid. Why? But why? I just always wanted to know. And I think as I got older and as that curiosity matures, you want to understand the truths of deeper things. And that curiosity just honestly keeps going and going and going and going. I think it's Socrates that said, like, the wisest person understands that they know nothing. You question everything. And this is where wisdom comes. Learn to think for yourself. And it takes practice, especially if you're a people pleaser or you've lived your whole life doing what everybody else told you to do. You never thought about, what do I really want? Just start to think like that. It will help you a lot, especially in your adult life. Because living a life for everybody else eventually is going to crash. My next tip, tell the truth. It's so much easier to be yourself and to communicate. We're not trying to hide a lie. And when you try to hide a lie, then it comes another lie. And you try to hide another lie, it comes another lie. I think a big issue that I had, especially like with somebody like my ex, was I was always truthful, and so I could just be me transparently, and my ex couldn't do that. It's kind of hard for you to be free and coexist in a connection with someone because you're hiding things. I don't have nothing to hide. It's so freeing when you make that decision to just be like, I'm not a liar. Next point, deal with your feelings. Don't avoid them. I already harped on this before, but What you went through is not somebody else's fault, and they don't deserve to deal with the backlash of who you became as a result of that because you didn't deal with it. Don't run away from it. Don't drink it away. All the ways you can escape your feelings, don't do it. Just deal with them. And I know that's like easier said than done, but it's worth it. And I think having the courage to explore the depths of all the things, that you kind of shoved away or ran away from, face them and then undo them, heal from them, process them. It's extremely uncomfortable, especially if you've never done it before, but I promise you it's worth it, because if you don't, everybody else around you is going to feel the effects of them. And the more you run from them, the worse it gets for everybody else around you, because hurt people, and that's the fact. Another really helpful tip, especially for people like me who was never really motivated by money. I think when I was younger, I didn't really care too much to mind the money, to pay attention to the money, because it's like, I don't really care about this. This is not why I'm doing this. But it's like, as an adult in America, you need money. It doesn't have to be the most important thing in your life, but it's important. It's very important. And you can't just brush it off to something that you don't care about. You need to care about it, because you need it to survive. Again, it doesn't have to be at the top, but having money is up there. Mind your money, making sure the money's right and the money's coming in and you do what you got to do. It's very important. And especially as a creative, I feel like for me, again, I was never motivated by the money, but I feel like going through the experience of having a lot of it and then having none of it, it makes you appreciate it, because I know for me, when it's not there, when I'm not feeling secure and stable in my financial situation, I can't create freely. And now my purpose is interrupted because I don't got the money, and that's not good. It's not a good place to be. All right, the next thing I have is understanding that your reality isn't everybody else's reality. And this one came up when I heard somebody being like, oh, this world is blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not this world that's like that. It's your world, because you perceive things to be one way. And a lot of times, especially in today's age, our perception is warped by our social media feed, which is not resemblant of the actual present world. It's some hyper dramatized version of a reality somewhere. And sometimes, especially nowadays, it's not even real. I think a big eye-opener for me is being able to travel. Every year since I think 2018, I've been able to travel out of the country, minus 2020 and 2021. But from 2018 on, I have been able to travel to another country every single year, sometimes multiple in a year. And just being in a different country and seeing that people really live differently than you. Like, life is very different in other places than they are in your reality, in your little world. I think it opens your mind up a lot. It helps you understand people more, I feel. It helps you understand the world a little bit more. It helps you understand what you don't understand. It just shows you how much you don't know. And I think for somebody like me, it made me very curious to want to know more. And it kind of goes back to that thing I was saying, it's like challenging everything. Okay, next thing, and this is a personal thing. Somebody cheats on you, leave. It's done. It's a chop. And I think for me, why I stand here on this is that, it happened to me before, and I made excuses for it. But now, looking back, I'm like, I would never do that. Not even on my worst day. There's no excuse, no reason, no anything that I could come up in my mind to be like, oh, well, this is why I did that, to excuse it. It's not excusable. And so it's a chop, because again, I wouldn't even do that on my worst day if I'm going through something. No, absolutely not. And so it's like all these excuses that I made in the past for a specific person that did this. It's like, no, this is not excusable. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. I would never do this to you or to anybody else. And so I'm not going to put up with this. A lot of times it's a lot deeper than just, oh, it was just a whatever, fill in the blank, whatever they did. Yeah, if only you guys knew what what happened to me. Maybe one day I'll talk about it. Maybe not. I don't know. I got to think about it. But just if it ever happens, I don't care how mild it is or severe, it's a chop. Okay, another one, and my mom used to say this a lot, is when people show you who they are, believe them. And also when people tell you who they are, believe them. Don't let those little things get past you. I remember literally, there was a situation where my ex was like, oh, I used to be a liar. Like, I used to just lie. And the same thing happened to one of my very close friends. They weren't talking about lying. They were talking about something else. But it was literally the same exact conversation. just a different topic. But he'd be like, oh, I used to just lie. I used to just lie to people. Like, I just for no reason, I would just lie. But like, I don't want to do that with you. They're telling you exactly who they are, but because it's so direct and obvious, it feels like, it just feels like, oh, I'm genuinely trying to come out and let you know that this is how I used to be, but now I'm not. Like, no. They're telling you exactly who they are, but you don't really feel like it's serious, because why would you just come and tell me that you're a liar? Well, they just did. And sure enough, soon as we broke up, the lies began, and they were like blatant and disrespectful, and like, and there was some other things too that were said, and even too in business, I did business with people who would tell me who they were or show me who they were, but I would make excuses. But then looking back, it's like, I wouldn't do that on my worst day. This is who you are. This is like really who you are at the core, and I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, people will show you, people will tell you, pay attention, be very observant, and believe them when they show you and tell you who they are, and move accordingly. It will save you in this life, okay? Okay, here's another one that was a harsh lesson. Codependent people's loyalty doesn't lie in you. It lies in what they get from you. And as soon as they're not getting from you whatever it was that they're getting from you that made them codependent on you, they will switch up on you immediately. It happened to me. And it's happened to a lot of people that I know, where you're with somebody and it just seems like everything is so peaches and creams and perfect. But it's like, in reality, it's only like that because they're getting something from you. Maybe you're a distraction from them because they won't face their demons. Maybe it's validation because you're somebody important. Maybe it's somebody just to be with so that they don't have to be alone. Whatever it is, it's like their loyalty to you lies. And especially you can kind of tell when people are a little bit too, it's like they're trying to figure you out or figure out what they need to say to keep you around, or what they need to do to make you like them or want to keep them around. And it's like, it's always those kinds of people who are the people that are literally, they're codependent. They're latching onto you for something. And as soon as you take that away, all this special treatment, all this good, this, that, blah, blah, it goes out the door, because the loyalty never was in you. It was in what they were getting from you. Now that they're not getting that, it's gone. And there's a lot of people like that out here. And some people are doing it. That's the only way they know to survive. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. But you don't have to deal with it, but you have to know better to know not to deal with it. My next thing is to give yourself the closure that you need. Sometimes you just can never know why somebody did something to you that was like wrong or messed up. A lot of times these are just projections of what they're dealing with internally, because like I said before, hurt people. That's what they know, so that's what they do. If you do need to take that extra step to give yourself closure for what somebody did to you, I've been there before multiple times, especially in the past 2 years. Kind of give yourself your own closure. I think, having a sister that works in mental health and whatnot, a lot of these people are textbook and they do the same things. They all do the same things. The manipulators, they all do the same things. The cheaters, they all said the same things. They're very much so textbook. Having a lot of the understandings of how people who are like mentally messed up operate, it helps you understand that, like, oh, you're doing that because you're hurting. You hurt me because you're hurting. Duh. You don't love yourself. You've told me this before. How could I expect you to love me when you don't even love yourself? You don't even know what love looks like. These things give you closure. It's like, I don't care why you did what you did, your reasons why you did what you did, but what I do understand is that you're hurting, and that's why you hurt me. End of story, end of discussion. I hope you get better. Be well. Stay blessed. I'll pray for you. It's it's so freeing. You don't feel like a victim to somebody or what they did to you when you're able to tie a bow and send off their attachment to you and whatever they did to you. And you don't have to sit in this confusion of like, why would you do this to me? Or thinking that it's you, or thinking that you're the problem. As I mentioned before, having the self-awareness to understand your part in whatever it is that you had to endure is so important. But beyond that, it doesn't help you at all to beat yourself up or to try to keep digging to find reasons why you're wrong when you won't find any, because you weren't wrong, or you didn't do anything, or you didn't deserve that treatment. And so freeing yourself from that by giving yourself your own closure in whatever way that may be, you could come up with your own reason why, oh, they were blah, 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 and that's why blah, 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 blah. If that helps you get the closure that you need, then so be it. Free yourself. Okay, this next one is super, super, super helpful. Don't put your expectations or your beliefs onto somebody else. especially as adults. You can coexist with the people and let them show you who they are and what they expect. A lot of times what they expect from themselves is what they're going to give you, and that's going to help you decide if this is a person that I want to be around or not. You trying to force somebody or encourage somebody to be a way that you want them to be because it's convenient for you, or because it's a way that you feel like they should operate in whatever their relationship is to you, all you're going to do is A, push them away, or B, force them to be somebody they're not. They can only keep up with that for so long, and then you're the one let down, like you changed up on me when from the jump you didn't let them be themselves, and they didn't have enough, self-awareness or courage or confidence to stand in who they are, because maybe they don't even know who they are. And so they just molded to somebody else. And if they can just mold to somebody else, they can mold to another person on another day. If they don't stand for something, they'll fall for anything. And now you're hurt because this person isn't who they showed you they were in the beginning, but you didn't give them the space to do that. Give people space, let them be who they're going to be, and you move with or away from them accordingly. Don't try to force anybody to be somebody they're not, or put expectations on people, because that will only get you hurt. And like I said in the business video, not have no expectations from nobody unless you're paying them helps you move through life with people so peacefully, because you're not expecting anything, so nobody can let you down. Okay, I just said this next one, but just don't expect anything from anybody you aren't paying, because if you're not expecting anything from anyone, no one can let you down. As I think about this point more, maybe with like age, my take on this will change, I don't know. Maybe this is a defense mechanism to, if I don't expect anything from anybody, then they can't let me down, So I don't know, maybe with age, with wisdom, with time, like that would change. Maybe it won't, and I know what I'm talking about. Who knows? But I'm always, willing to question everything and to have all of my ideas challenged, because that's how you get wiser. That's how you get smarter. If you don't know anything, you can learn everything. Who knows? But as of right now, this has served me extremely well in my life, to not expect anything from anyone. And I also feel like it takes pressure off of relationships as well. Like, it's so easy to coexist with people when you don't have all these like expectations of them, They can just be, and so can you. So far, it's served me very, very well. All right, my next tip is to spend the time necessary to make the details of your vision clear. If you're somebody who is very ambitious, has big dreams, has big goals, wants to achieve something big, you have to relentlessly pursue your vision and exactly what that is. Otherwise, other people will I'm just speaking from my experience, latch onto your success and turn your vision into their vision. But if you're not crystal clear on what that is in the first place, you don't really know where you're going. So you can just kind of tend to go with it if it sounds good. And this was a big mistake that I made. I have always been a very big thinker, very, very big picture thinker, but I always would miss the details, or I wouldn't take time or take care to tend to the details. And I think because of that, I built this massive thing, and then it turned into something that I didn't want it to turn into, because I didn't take the time to get clear on exactly what that I want this thing to be. And so it's very vulnerable to somebody coming in with an idea of what they wanted it to be and turning it into that, because I didn't have that crystal clarity of this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I see, because I wouldn't take the time to tend to the details. The details are boring to me. Now the details are everything to me. I'm like, nope. Let's get it down. How do I want this to be? Exactly what does it look like? What does it look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, potentially, because, we don't control the timeline here. But again, the plan is useless, but the planning is everything. For me personally, moving forward in everything that I do, taking the time to hone in on those details and to get very, very crystal clear, so clear that you could see through it on your vision, is extremely important for you to maintain the integrity of your vision in the first place. My next thing is doing things to grow and to become a better, more wiser, stronger, higher version of yourself. They're usually hard. They're usually uncomfortable, but they usually always pay off. And so it's going to require you to push yourself and to believe in yourself. This was a huge thing for me, huge lesson that I learned out. It was extremely uncomfortable learning, but now I have no problem with at all. It was speaking up for myself. There was a situation that happened to me when I was younger, or I got in trouble, and I didn't know why I was getting in trouble, and I was embarrassed because I spoke in a tone that was a little too aggressive. And so all throughout my life after that experience, up until 2021, when I really started to work on it, I never spoke up for myself. Never spoke up for myself. I didn't want to cause any commotion. I didn't want to cause any harm. I didn't want to cause any commotion. I didn't want any friction with anyone or anything. And so I wouldn't speak up for myself at all. And it got to a point where that got me into things and situations and places that I didn't want to be in. And I was fed up enough with myself not speaking up for myself and then ending up in these situations that I didn't want to be in, that I was like, what is the problem? Like, why am I like this? You know? And again, having a sister in mental health, we kind of broke it down and realized it started at that one day when I was like 7 years old, you know, and it carried along. And so my sister told me, like, the only way you're going to get comfortable speaking up for yourself is speaking up for yourself. And it's going to be extremely uncomfortable, but you have to do it if you don't want this to be a problem anymore. And eventually, with practice, it's going to become comfortable. And so sure enough, I started doing that. And I literally remember the first time I was speaking up for myself, I was literally like, shit. I was like, you know, I think that maybe we should do it this way, because, like, you know, I just feel like that would be better. And like, this was literally me speaking up for myself for the first time probably ever, you know, and it was extremely uncomfortable. I was nervous. I was literally shaking. I felt embarrassing. Like, I felt embarrassed. Like, why is it so hard for me to just get this out, you know? But then after another time and another time and another time, and then I had a really big moment where, you know, me speaking up for myself led me to a big victory. And then that instilled a lot of confidence in me. And I just kept doing it. I kept doing it. And now I can't shut up if I got something to say. You know, but it took 2 years of me practicing it and feeling uncomfortable. And I can't explain how uncomfortable that feeling was, but it was so worth it. And I'm so grateful that I pushed myself through that discomfort, because now nobody's walking over me. And I'm going to say something if I need to, if it's called for. Very much so, still choose your battles, but some of them you gotta pick. And I'm gonna pick them every time now. Another big one is things aren't always what they look like. And it's like a cliche saying, the grass isn't greener, or everything's not what it seems, everything that glitters isn't gold. But it's so easy to forget that when you see somebody walking in what you want or believe that you want. The thing is, you don't know how somebody got that. You don't know what somebody's done. You don't know what somebody's doing. You don't know how somebody else feels or perceives the thing that they have. And if you've never had it, maybe you don't know what it's like to have that thing. You don't know their situation. You don't know their circumstances. For me, when the business was popping and the business was successful, I was miserable. There was a chunky period of time after the business first blew up from me doing business with the wrong person. I was miserable. And everyone's clapping for me, cheering me on, and wishing that they were in my position, you know, which I'm grateful for, you know, having supportive people. But it also made me feel alone, because I felt like I couldn't talk about how bad it was for me at a certain time, because, you know, you're cheering me on, you're clapping for me, you're celebrating, you're throwing me a surprise party just because to celebrate me. And it's like, whole time, like, I don't like this at all, and I'm very miserable, and I'm very unhappy, and I just kind of, I don't know what to do, but I'm not okay. And it's like, you don't know, you wouldn't know that though. And so you're thinking, oh, they got it made, they're living their life, you know, they got it going on. And it's like, whole time they're like, no, I'm like this close to like a serious problem, you know? And so it really is like, don't ever, you know, be jealous of someone else or think that somebody has it better than you, because you don't know what it's like. It might look like one thing, but things are not always what they look like. And this is sidebar. This is why I feel like everybody should just mind their business and focus on their life and their lane and their path, because you don't know. Unless you know, you don't. That's just a really, really big thing that I feel like once I experienced it, I didn't really understand the full extent of this saying until I experienced it. And then I was like, oh, like, you really never know. Everybody's looking at me like I'm so successful and I must be so happy and I made it. And I'm like, this is not making it. And if this is making it, I don't want it. My last, I feel like if the whole world knew this, it would be a better place. Treat yourself like somebody you care about. There's so many people who do so much for other people and don't do anything for themselves. And it's like, maybe they're a people pleaser, maybe they have low self-esteem, maybe they were told from a young age that doing anything for themselves is selfish. Who knows? The list goes on. But what I will say is, if you start to treat yourself like somebody that you care about, if somebody that you really care about, you would, when they're down, you would like lift them up. When they're down, you would like try to encourage them and like tell them why they're good. Or somebody you care about, you would go the extra mile to do little things to help them be prepared for things. Like, I laid your clothes out so that they're ready, or I ironed your clothes for you, or made you breakfast, or I packed your bag for you last night. These things that you would do for people, and everybody's different, but the things that you would do for somebody else that you cared about, do those things for yourself. If you, I laid your clothes out, lay your clothes out tonight for yourself tomorrow. When you start treating yourself like somebody that you actually like somebody that you actually care about, a couple things happen. One, if you don't already, you really start to convince yourself that you love yourself and that you care about yourself. Two, now you know what it feels like to be cared for by you, to be loved by you. Once you understand, it's like, you know what you bring to the table. You're not going to play with it. You're not just going to give it to anybody, because you know what it feels like now. You always did it for everybody else. You never got to receive it yourself. Now you get to receive it yourself from yourself. Oh yeah, you know what it feels like now. You're not going to play with it. Now anybody's going to get that. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I don't know where it started or why, but I'm very confident, very self-assured in what I have to offer and what I bring to the table in any situation. And I think that brings this level of confidence to any room that I'm in, to anywhere that I'm in, that I'm able to be myself and accept myself, and I don't need you to validate me. And in a situation that's reciprocal, if I don't feel like I'm being reciprocated something that's worth or better than what I'm able to give, because I know what I give, I know what I bring, then what am I doing here? It's imbalanced. We gotta work something outside, or I gotta go the other way. It gives you so much like power and like self-respect and like self-esteem when you truly, genuinely know what it feels like to be you to somebody else. But you have to be you to yourself. You have to do the things that you would do for other people for yourself, so that you know and you understand what that feels like to be around you, because you're genuinely, truly around yourself. Not to say, okay, I'm physically here, but like, no, you're like, I don't know how to describe this, but it's like you're genuinely with yourself. You know what it feels like to be loved by you, because you love on yourself. You know what it feels like to be cared for by you, because you care for yourself. It unlocks this thing, and I don't know how to describe it, but you know when a person does it. You know when a person has it. That's my like last tip or lesson, I would say. These are all things that, you know, throughout my lifetime I have learned. Some of them came from people that have imparted this knowledge on me. A lot of it's come from just trial and error, because I was very hard-headed growing up. Not hard-headed, but I just wanted to find out things for myself, you know. But these are all lessons that I've learned along my lifetime, and I hope that some of them have been able to be helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking forward to more videos, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Again, I hope that you really enjoyed this video and you learned something from it, and I will see you in my next video.